me about motorbikes and what you're into.
Well, I'm a lifelong rider, passionate about the sport. I got into the business many moons ago, worked on the dealership side for a long time, managed a European store here in Atlanta. Then I transitioned over to the OEM side of the business. And so I've led sales teams and developed dealer networks. I've been
Okay.
involved with 3 startup companies that had 0 dealers in the country, new entrants. And then I've worked for some traditional brands or known brands, Triumph, Moto Guzzi, Aprilia, and Royal Enfield.
Very cool. You and I probably have 2 fun facts then. The first of which is half of my family is all from the Isle of Man. So I
Beautiful.
have an aunt that lives on the TT Races route. So I've had. Have you ever seen the TT Races or ever been a part of them?
I watch them on TV every year. I will tell
Yeah.
you what, Chris, you and I just became fast friends. We're going to go see your aunt next year.
So love that. And then obviously we're big fans, and I mean they love what that does to the little island when it comes in, and the tourism and the money, and they couldn't be more appreciative of motorsports fans such as yourselves, and they've loved it for a long time. And then on the second side, on the OEM side, on my wife's side of the family, they owned a BMW Motorrad dealership for about 40 years. They just recently sold it
Oh, wow. Where was the store?
in Oakville, Ontario.
Okay.
And he actually had, so this is my father-in-law, he had 2 BMW stores, but only one of them had the Motorrad attached to it. Actually, both of them had Mini too. So he had BMW, Mini, and then one Motorrad. And he's been a lifelong BMW guy. Like, he likes all the K-Series bikes, and he's 84 now and still owns a couple.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
do you ride, Chris?
So I have never in my life been a 2-wheel guy, and I get chirped about it all the time. I've owned all the machines. I've owned multiple ATVs, multiple sleds. I've got a car collection. I've probably owned in my entire life. My wife and I actually figured this out once because of her family, we had access to a BMW license or a leasing program. So her and I were getting new demos every 6 months each. So we figured out the other day that we've probably owned about 25 BMWs between us, but all with 4 wheels. Never been a 2-wheel guy.
Quite all right.
But very close to it. Love the culture, and obviously I'm familiar with the dealership side of the OEM world.
Right.
And I think that's probably why Luis, well, I'm sure there's a few reasons why Luis wanted to put us together today, but the first of which, as you said, being fast friends. As soon as you've got some petrol in your blood, that's an easy way to be a buddy. And then on top of that, I mean, sales is my passion. I'm a sales guy, so yeah, we probably we're going to get along just fine. So maybe I'll turn that back then. Unless, did you have any other questions just about me or my background? Or I'm sure Luis explained that we're partners in 15 Element and we work closely on the AI side.
He did. And I think that's what really brought us together today, because during the shooting of the podcast, we were talking about speed to lead. And this is a constant issue that we have in probably all businesses, but the motorcycle industry has challenges. The industry right now averages about $68 per lead gen, or acquisition costs, I should say. And this goes into a system, or CRM, that gets pushed out to the dealer network. Part of the challenges are the dealer network funnels all that into their private CRM. So the OEM loses complete and total visibility when and if those leads have been followed up with. We know from Pied Piper's study that 40% of the leads coming in never get touched, period. Then we also know that the 60% that are being touched, 60% of those number of leads get touched one time. So what we believe as an industry is that a salesperson in the showroom throws an email over the fence and hopes for the best. We also know from consumer surveys that every hour that goes by, your likelihood of engaging that lead decreases by about 30% for every hour. So I've been looking at AI lead follow-up options to go out and sell to the network or the OEMs as a solution. Because if we just increase our closing ratio 3%, that's a huge win.
Yeah, and especially with all the money that they are spending, we will not ask them to spend more. We will ask them to post more with what they have. So it's a no-brainer.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, all of those likelihood statistics you shared, numbers you shared. I mean, that doesn't matter if you're selling 2 wheels or 4 wheels. That's all just sales best practice. And one of the things that we're really trying to focus on is how can we, and no disrespect, but I'm talking about the softer salespeople when I say this, but how can you make it so that when that finally happens, it isn't just that lob over an email, it's, you know, perfectly teed up, perfectly qualified, has gone through as much of that qualification and discussion as possible so that it arrives at a showroom ready to buy, or even best case scenario, how do we do that? You know, how do we get it to the point where they already know what they want to buy before that even happens? And of course, as you know, having done your research, very doable. And for us, the opportunities that I like the most are when we can work with a sales professional who understands where those shortfalls are, what conversations aren't happening, what the individual OEM looks for as far as qualifying and furthering the sale and making sure that it's teed up properly, and then automating the whole thing through.
Yeah, Chris, in some ways, I think, you know, the OEMs spend all this money to generate these leads, and then, you know, they're not really any different than the salespeople in the dealership who's lobbing it across the fence because the OEM pushes it out to the dealer and hopes for the best. I'd sometimes think it would probably be better served if the OEM did all of this AI lead follow-up qualification, driving it down the funnel way before it's ever turned over to the dealer.
Yeah, we see some of that. We're working with a group in Hamilton and Oakville right now that sell Volvo. And they, in Ontario, they roll up into dealer groups, and the groups are, you probably have it the same down in, you said it was Atlanta, right? Are you in Atlanta now?
I am, yes.
Yeah, so it's probably similar. Like they'll group together territories, and then they'll give that territory, you know, they meet as a dealer network. They've got some marketing dollars they can deploy as they see fit. So what we're trying to figure out is where are we most efficient? Because to your point, yes, you can go right in at the dealership level, but at that point you've already, you know, you're waiting for it to come back over the fence. And then if we go up a little bit in Ontario, when you've got these dealer groups, well, that's probably better because now you're dealing with the ad spend, you're dealing with, you know, everything they're doing to prospect and market themselves. But you're still grassroots enough that you can touch the salesperson. So what does your hierarchy look like down in most of your area or where you do business? Do they have those dealer groups? Are they the ones spending marketing dollars, or is it, you know, dealership has a bunch of autonomy and then the OEM spends the, you know, the statewide marketing dollars?
Yeah, it's the latter in the motorcycle space, right? The OEM spends the dollars and the dealers reap the reward or fail at reaping the reward.
Yeah. Yeah. So then those are there are two conversations that, I mean, I'd love to, you know, with your expertise or your contacts, figure out how to have those conversations, because you're absolutely right. I mean, just on the ad spend side, you know, making sure that those are immediately deployed properly and have kind of that click funnel mentality right from the top to make sure that we're maximizing those conversions. We can totally show lift there, big ROI there. And then making sure that once those those leads do come into the hopper, that they are, white glove the whole way through to make sure that they get that perfect sales cycle experience. And that might be at the dealership level. So there's probably two conversations.
Okay.
And then in a perfect scenario, we get to have a look at that entire funnel and optimize the whole thing top to bottom. So it would, it would serve well to make sure that, the OEM understood and the dealer understood, and just create pipeline for them that is, again, fully autonomous, absolutely maximized as far as efficiencies, make sure there's no stop gaps, and just and then report to them, say, hey, look how great this is, look at all the things it's doing, tie that into the numbers that you already know about drop off and conversion, and just track the whole thing and show them that this is a tool they can't live without.
Yeah, I think I also, there's a company here that has done serious evaluations on dealerships on the life cycle of a customer, right? And they can tell you that a customer typically keeps their motorcycle about 36, 37 months, and then they're in the market to buy, trade again. They've also plotted all of this as far as service, what a customer spends average in the parts department or accessories department. And they have a outreach campaign, or cadence, I should say, to drive higher engagement from the existing customer base that's already there. However, there again, typically because the motorcycle dealerships are, let's be honest, they're understaffed and get busy with customers on the floor. So there's nobody in driving that. I would love to see even an AI agent that could drive those transactions, schedule services, etc.
Yeah, 100%, and something we've worked hard on. So we've got a tool that essentially is that it can replace, at a traditional dealership, you'd call it receptionist or administrator at the front desk. It can also replace, for the larger dealerships, some of those groups that have the business development centers or the call centers in place to call and schedule those service appointments and those follow-ups. You can basically automate all of that, incoming and outbound. And what's nice about the outbound side is, there's options to communicate based on customer preference. So, the same agent can basically handle a chat as they could handle a phone call. And, I do know that they would have some automations in place, but most of the dealerships we see are just using like an email program, like a MailChimp or something like that. And they're sending out hey, you're closing in on 36 months, or hey, your lease is coming due, or, and it's just run out of their CRM. Well, again, there's your lob over the fence and hope approach, right? Whereas you could be saying, and some of the more advanced dealers are saying, here's what your trade might be worth, have a conversation around that. Here's what our current offers are, and push some marketing material. Here's what our inventory is, push some marketing material. And all of those conversations can happen without a salesperson.
I love it.
Yeah, and there's other things too, Ron. Like we haven't even talked about the fact of the impossible task of following up with tens of thousands of leads that are just like dormant, that have been sitting on a database on the past. So we can also have an AI agent to reach out to like 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 leads that are sitting there and not being engaged by phone, by voicemail, by WhatsApp, SMS, whatever, because they have permission to reach out to them, and they just don't do it. So imagine having from I don't know, like a 10,000 database, we have 20 sales because of the engagement that we're doing. Like it's just free sales for the dealer. So those are some of the things that. It's just like the service, the speed to lead, the database reactivation for OEMs. So there's different types of modules and solutions that it's like having a call center that is just reaching out to those people and trying to get them into the funnel of the dealer. So.
In your current business structure, do you guys white label this, or?
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, when we develop, like if you looked at our homepage right now, the first thing you'd see is the 15 elements. We've kind of been cute and put it together like a periodic table, but that is how we do it. Like we come in with those 15 elements. They're all designed to play really nice with one another. You can build your tech stack, go from any of the things we just talked about, all play well together. But each of those are SaaS. Each of those have, depending on what we're putting in place, there will be subscriptions and monthly fees and things like that to run the technology. We proudly say, we're AI powered but human driven, which is exactly the piece that we see as missing right now. Because if you talk about offers, you talk about what's available, you talk about strategy, like that still has to be input, and you still have to create really good prompts, really good workflows. Those are going to change over the relationship, however many years we get to do this together. So yeah, so we on a white labeling kind of question, we will stack everything together, and the customer is going to see one bill and it's going to see 15 element on it. And their work face and their dashboards and everything will just say 15 element on it. And then behind the scenes, we pay all the cloud-based subscriptions, we pay all the modules and licenses, and that's how we can make a little money on an ongoing monthly basis, and our partners can make some money on an ongoing monthly basis. And then we do provide support. That human piece never goes away.
Fantastic.
And that's why people are going with us, because we always say, okay, even on this call we probably just had 10 ideas, but it's also 10 different systems that all have to be configured, deployed, maintained. We're finding on most of our clients, as long as we can deliver quantifiable ROI, they're happy to let us bundle everything, maintain everything, deploy everything, and then they got a real phone number to call when they want to update, or whether they see something they don't like or want to change. So that's how we do it. And then when we talk with folks like you who are potentially big allies for what we do, or can continue to evolve our thought process specific to an industry or a niche, we are more than happy to play in the sandbox together and create something where you see value and we win together.
Love that. So I guess from here, what would kind of our next steps be in exploring this, and so I can put together the strategy? I mean, I have the strategy.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it is that easy. I mean, both anytime Luis puts together one of these calls, I know he's excited and wants to work with somebody. So I can tell you already that there's an opportunity to do this together. The US is a awesome opportunity for us, and we're just kind of getting going. So if we had, some local expertise, some local network, guys like yourself that live it and breathe it, we know that can accelerate our growth tremendously. So I would say the next steps could simply be, let's try and figure out 2 or 3, doesn't need to be a big number. Let's say 1, 2, or 3 that are great friends of yours, and people you've got working history with, and just say, hey, everybody's talking about AI. Everybody knows they need AI. I found a company that wants to hold your hand and make sure that you are ahead of the curve. 15 element, we're partners. I'll make sure that you get everything you need from them. And then we can figure out what the scope is, and honestly, we can be as transparent as just saying, here's our proposal, here's what we believe our margins to be. There's going to be some money up front, and that's obviously going to be for professional services and implementation, and then there's going to be some money on a monthly basis, and we can just design a rev share that works. Just whatever we'll be an open book with you, and we'll try 1, 2, 3 together, and we'll have this conversation again. But what's nice about the technology is because it's really just upfront heavy, and then it starts to get a little easier as things go. The margins are great, and they hold true. And what we're seeing is the majority of our customers, once once you've got this level of implementation, certainly things like agents that have the ability to replace staff, the contract length on those are very, very long, multi-year, because if we're doing a great job, why would you ever leave, right? It's that level of implementation and technology.
All right, sounds great. I think I've got a couple of people in mind already, and I'll make some phone calls this afternoon.
Yeah, I would. Did Lewis? I kind of rambled there. But was there anything else you wanted to add to that? I mean, I think that this is, well, I get excited about automotive, and anytime I meet a good sales guy, I get excited. So maybe I'll pause and I'll let you talk for a second and see if you want to add anything.
No, that was great. Like that's why I picked your time, Chris, because I know that there was going to be a great synergy with Ron. Ron's super nice. Meeting him and the value that we can build if we join forces somehow, and also like we're delivering results to the industry, make it better for the dealers, like just crushing numbers. That's the idea of all this. So yeah, super aligned. Perfect.
Great, Ron. And you've got obviously all of our contact info, and we're here to support you 100%. You need me on a call, you just tell me where and when, and I'll be there. And yeah, let's try and get 1 or 2 or 3 and just kind of figure out what it is to work together. And you're going to learn more about us, and we'll learn about you. And yeah, like I said, our commitment is just open book. You'll see proposals before they go over. We'll always have you built in, both on the upfront and the recurring. And then yeah, we'd love to help some people in your network, and we can both make some money as we go.
Sounds perfect. Gentlemen,
Thank you, guys.
I really appreciate your time. I hope you both have great weekends.
Yeah,
You
you
too,
as well.
Ron.
Look forward to next steps, Ron.
All right.
Lewis, thanks
Thank
for
you.
putting the call together, man. Appreciate
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Chris.
you. Okay,
Best.
chat soon, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.